Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We All See Things podcast with myself, Nathan, and my co-host, Lauren.
Hi.
And we have a special guest today, JT from Atrox Paranormal. Sorry about that. So,
You
introduce
nailed
yourself.
it. Hey
I
guys.
fucked it up.
No, I think it's perfect. Well, what's up? I'm JT. I'm a paranormal investigator from Arizona in the States.
And you are our very first guest on We All See Things.
Really?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, you are number one.
Oh, dang. I feel really special. And I'm
You
totally going to
sound.
let you guys down.
You know what? You're setting the bar, so it doesn't matter if it sucks.
Nice. I'll set it real
Yep.
low for
It's
everybody else.
perfect. It'll help anybody else who comes on. Where does the name Atrox come from?
So, as Lauren knows, I'm a big reptile nerd. And actually, the other two investigators are too. So, Crotalus atrox is the scientific name for the western diamondback rattlesnake.
Oh, that's cool.
I did not know that. I learned something new.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
It's not like my favorite snake or anything, but I think atrox sounds cool.
It does sound pretty cool.
I actually like the name.
And like my profession, I'm a guitar builder, and my actual copyrighted signature guitar is called the Atrox.
Nice.
Well, that's perfect. When you Google one, you're getting the other.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. It's a business plan.
I'm
Smart.
trying to make it all blend together.
Yeah, why not? It makes sense.
Makes things easier, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, what first got you into doing paranormal investigations?
I've been doing it for like 2 decades now, maybe a little longer, but I've only started filming within the past year, and I think it's just to prove that I'm not totally crazy.
Like most other investigators out there, or TV shows, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, you got to think if you come back from an abandoned building and you're just talking crazy stuff like I'm seeing things, they're gonna be like, "We need some proof," or you're going away.
Exactly. So, and I never see anything super, super crazy. Like some of the stories that I get from people, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm just gonna nod my head and agree. But just the simple stuff, like stuff moving or voices or any of that aren't in my head that other people can hear.
I like how you admitted that. Like, there's voices there, but not all the time.
Yeah, not just in my head. So being able to capture those on camera and audio is super important for me. And I'm also a huge skeptic. So
I can understand it. I respect that.
I'm one of those, I have to see it to believe it.
Yes.
See, Nathan's a huge skeptic. That's why I took him on that Aradale ghost tour.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you had any experiences. I didn't have much because it was like a whole group tour kind of thing going through.
Yeah.
And it was just
And the fact that there was not at Airedale, nobody had any experiences. Like nobody said anything. Like somebody grabbed them, pulled on them, whispered something. Nobody reacted at all there. So it was kind of when it was a dud night, and that happens.
The only time that I'm very sensitive to like those sort of places, but the most place where I got like I felt like very heavy and felt kind of dizzy and sick was in the chapel, because I think that was like an old infirmary or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah,
before it was a chapel.
Yeah, I remember that because I got up on the pedestal thingy and I was like, yeah, trying to do stuff, trying to trigger things. Nothing happened for me.
Yeah, those group tours are tough, and most of them are awful.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure, yeah.
We did one Thanksgiving, so in the States, obviously Thanksgiving, and we were in northern Arizona where it's cold as hell, and I think it was 14 degrees outside, so it was well below freezing, and it was awful. I know you guys are thinking Celsius, and I'm like,
I'm like, no, wait, he means Fahrenheit.
yeah.
I'll get the converter for that for the rest of the world.
I mean, Google is his thing.
It is. That is minus 10 Celsius. So yes, that's well below freezing.
Yeah, so we're just like standing outside these old buildings where they're telling all these ghost stories that probably didn't happen.
I mean, Like they do that in Ballarat. They do like a ghost tour, but they walk around the town and talk about ghost stories and stuff like that. And then they venture into like the cemetery. But I've never been on it because I've just never been interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a ghost tour here in Melbourne too, like that. Like they walk you around to different buildings and tell you the history of the building. I think there's a couple buildings that you can go in there and you get like a little half an hour, 45 minute like little tour inside the building. I don't know if I want to do that because for one, I'm not fond of going into the city and like it's always hectic in the city. So meh. Maybe one
Yeah.
day so I can actually judge it.
So what was like your first encounter with like spirits wise and stuff like that?
It's hard to say. Because like a lot of it was when I was a kid, so it's like, was it my imagination? Was it,
Yeah.
like laying in like my parents' bed because we were scared of our rooms and seeing like a hand come out of the ceiling and my sister and I freaking out,
Yeah.
and then like
That's fair.
yeah, weird shit like that. And it's like, was it like some sort of mass hallucination thing? Was it because we were so worked up from being scared already,
Mm,
That makes
or
sense.
my
yeah.
mom
If one
talked about my imaginary friends when I was a little kid that would actually move the toys. So I don't know. She's not around anymore to be able to ask her about it.
oh damn. Sorry.
I mean, we can try and get her on the podcast, like digital recorder or spirit box or something. But
We do a Ouija board.
yeah,
Why?
Lord, why? Why? Why would you say that?
Okay, like I'm not a fan of Ouija boards. Like, yes, they're another way to communicate with spirits, but it's like mind over matter. I'm like, does it actually work?
Yeah.
Is it, you know,
I
No,
agree
I
with you.
know they've done a lot of testing. Actually, they've done a lot of testing on the like the little hand movement things, and it is a lot of mind over matter. There's always somebody who put a little pressure, and then everybody kind of works with it and move. They end up moving it together, not realizing they're moving it together.
I think it's
It,
hilarious when people do it and then like someone turns off the lights and they get all scared and scream and run away. It's
Every,
hilarious. I love
it's
yeah,
really
that.
funny. Do you ever see Penn and Teller test people on the Ouija board and blindfold them? They spun it, and the hand movements still went to the same spots where things would normally be, but they're not there anymore, just because their brain was like, "Oh, it needs to go here. Oh, it needs to go
oh,
there."
it's like I know the letters are here, so I'll go to the letters where I knew they were last. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and they're
interesting.
not
I'm
there
not gonna
anymore.
watch that.
Yeah, it was on their show
See,
Bullshit.
I love that show.
That's
It's
great.
so good. I will say their paranormal investigator one was so dumb because I don't know what team they picked, but it was like the biggest bunch of wackadoos that you're like,
I
everything's a
recent.
ghost.
Oh, not everything's a ghost. I say that so much. I have you seen the one? I forgot what show it was, but it was like a bunch of like these magicians that were like, Chris Angel was was one of the judges, and he almost got in a fight on the show with one of the contestants who was a medium, yeah, whatever, who was like talking to a ghost who was telling him about what's on a piece of paper in a locked chest. And this guy's like doing the overreacting, his eyes closed, and he's writing it down on a piece of paper, and it looks scribbled, but like you can make out the word that was on the piece of paper that was on the chest. And you see Chris Angel just like fucking snap a little bit. He's like, I will give you $1 million, my personal money, if you can tell me what's in this envelope right now. And the guy got pissed off, started walking towards him. Chris Angel's coming back there, looked like they're about to go at it. Security had to come, and the show got canceled soon after that.
That's
Is
hilarious. I
that
need to look that up.
is that like you saying Chris Angel Mind Freak? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I remember that douchebag.
How many Chris Angels do you know?
Oh, she knows a
You're like,
ton of
what
them. It's
that Chris Angel?
Yeah.
I
She's
mean,
like, "Oh, not Chris Angel from Melbourne? Like that guy's crazy too, but you're not talking about that one?"
No, no, the
what?
one from Perth. No.
No, I like I used to like watch that kind of stuff like years ago, but I couldn't remember it was that one that
Yeah,
you were
no,
talking.
yeah,
Yeah,
Chris Angel
yeah,
Mind Freak. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give him that. Like he's obviously a magician. There's always a way around their tricks. There's nothing actually magical about it. But I
Exactly.
just love the fact that he was like, nah, screw this guy, and just challenged him right there on the spot.
Oh, you're the Google guy. Pull up Penn and Teller have like a bounty out. Like if you can prove you're psychic, they'll
Yeah.
give you however many millions of dollars.
Penn and
never
Teller,
heard of that.
I believe
they
it's just a continuation of Houdini offered a ton of money too.
yeah, it's Penn and Teller. There's another guy. He's dedicated his life to he's offered, I think it started out back in like the 70s, where he would offer like $10,000. Now back then it was a lot of money, and it still is to a lot of us. $10,000 if you could prove, or for him not to be able to understand how you did this psychic ability. And every single person came into the show and he was able to fucking squash it right there.
I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to remember his name. Was it like
White haired.
Friedman or something like that?
Oh, I think it was Friedman.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
And I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that have certain abilities. I just think the ones you especially see on TV, that's TV.
Like Long Island Medium or something, whatever her name is.
Yeah. I've never
Marisa.
seen it, so I don't know. I don't watch any of the medium shows.
It's like when you have mediums or fucking other ones, I can't remember what their names are, but it's really, I think we were talking about this last night. It's hard to actually believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to actually saying like telling the truth or knowing, what's going on, or do they have an accurate, description of what's going to happen in your life or what has happened.
The best video on that is Darren Brown Messiah. Just go on YouTube and watch that. He pretends to be one of those mediums and nails it, and then pulls the people aside afterwards and is like, this is how I did it. This, like, stop spending your money on this. It's really good.
His name, the guy I'm talking about, is James Randi.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. He's literally like, it's the best. Like, he'll stand there, he'll watch them do it. And to somebody who doesn't know anything, you're watching, you're like, oh, that was pretty cool. How did you do it? And he just like looks at it for a second and then boom, breaks it down, knows exactly how they did it. And he's like, now do it. And he gets a controlled area. He like, there's one guy, he would like have a phone book, fold it out, and then would kind of step towards it and put his hand like he's pushing the pages, and they'd flip over, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then he's like, he's like, oh, you're using wind. He's like, no, I'm
Oh,
not.
nice.
He's like, yeah, you are. He's like, watch. So he'd walk towards it. He did it himself, and all of a sudden the pages start flipping over.
That's cool.
And he's like, you know what? Let's put something in between that. He's like, if you're a real psychic, it doesn't matter if there's a wall there. He's like, we'll put a piece of glass, and the guy started getting frustrated with him and walked off set.
Oh, I've seen that video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like Penn and Teller Fool Us, where they try and break down how the magicians did it. I love watching that show.
And if they can actually like not figure it out, I think they get like a spot on their like Vegas tour or
on their
something.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. In their residency.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
it's so cool. They seem like cool guys. I don't know how we went from, oh, because of the psychic thing. I was like, how did we go from paranormal to Penn and Teller?
I know. Oh, it's just talking about psychics and debunking stuff.
And Ouija boards, that's what it was.
Yeah,
That was it.
we just jump around and we come full
Yeah.
circle. That's pretty much how it is.
That's how my
Mhm.
brain works too.
So, what are the places that you really want to visit?
Waverly Hills.
So, can you explain what that is?
It's a tuberculosis.
And why you want to
clinic.
go there.
I heard there's like a creeper crawler thing in the body chute that like crawls on all fours at you. And I just want to get down and crawl on all fours at it if it's real.
Look out, he's
So it's-
Googling.
Oh, because this is now in my area. I'm the cryptid guy too. I love cryptids. So where is this? What's this place called again?
Waverly Hills. I want to say is it in Kentucky? I'm terrible with where these places are at.
Waverly Hills Body Shoot. There we go. It is. Yeah, it's Kentucky Sanatorium in
It's a
Louisiana,
beautiful looking place too.
Louisville, Kentucky. That's it.
Oh, you got to say it. Louisville.
Louisville.
Or they get mad.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it looks like a really pretty place in general. Like the aesthetics of it. Like I can picture flying a drone around it and all that.
I mean, like if we were
Okay.
allowed to do that to most places that we would go, like to investigating, we would. But here, it's like it's kind of strict to drones and stuff like that. We have to get special
Yeah.
permissions and
Really?
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on the size of the drone, you actually have to have a type of license.
Mhm.
Yeah, Kurt did have to like do something with the FAA for our drone to be able to fly it up to like however many thousands of feet.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have like a specialized thing. It's crazy. But to be fair, you could be spying on people.
That is true.
Y-
We had somebody try and shoot it down when we were in the middle of the desert. We went to where there's supposed to be skinwalkers, and
Yeah.
we were going to go investigate. And there was it was a holiday weekend, so there's a bunch of people out there, and they started shooting at it. Welcome to America.
I just you
I
don't
could
want to
see
be
if it was in a
stereotypical,
neighborhood
but
over someone's house or something, but
yeah,
we're in the middle of the desert.
yeah, exactly. And then somebody's just got guns in the middle of the desert for
I,
reasons.
I mean, they were probably target practicing, but then they saw a drone and they're like, "Oh hell yeah, let's take that out!" Like that thing was
Jesus Christ.
expensive as shit.
No, they knew exactly what they
They
were
knew
doing.
exactly what it was.
They're in the desert. You get away with a lot in the desert.
You ever see Casino when he's like a lot of holes in the desert, a lot of problems buried in those holes.
Hmm. Think of the outback out here.
I always draw the comparison between Arizona and Australia.
A lot of people go missing out here. Apparently, more backpackers go missing in Australia than anywhere else in the world.
Well, obviously, it's Australia.
Yeah, I know. Like, you're like, yeah, but look at you. You're like, yeah, duh.
Yeah, that's how it is here. It's hot as shit, both places, full of venomous snakes, and it's dry, it's
Mhm.
sandy. But we have cactuses. Do you guys have cactus?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know, I've never been there.
In the weirdest spots too. Like you'll be just driving along, nice forested area. All of a sudden, there's be like 20 cactuses. You're like, where the fuck did you come from? Why are you here? And then you won't see it again.
What is
And
your?
I'm exhausted from yesterday's paranormal investigation, so
I've seen that.
so tired. I know we talked last night and I'm like, I need sleep so bad.
Did you get much out of the investigation from yesterday?
Um we got we had some decent activity, but I had 6 static cameras rolling, so that's 9 hours each I have to go through.
Jeez.
So
Oh,
hopefully
and
we
just
get
for
some good
people,
stuff.
where were you last night? What were
Oh,
you investigating?
so we were at the Gila County 1910 jail in Globe, Arizona. So it's
Okay.
I think it got shut down in the 80s, but yeah, there was an assassination inside the jail, so that was interesting. This guy was in there for um, killing 2 girls, like little girls, which
Hmm.
I don't know if there's any proof that he did it or not, but so that's what
No.
he's in there for. And the jail actually connects with a cat or by a catwalk to the courthouse, and
Oh,
somebody sniped him from the judge's bathroom.
fuck.
When you
That's awesome.
when you see the angle, you're like, oh my gosh, it was one shot through multiple layers of bars. He threaded the needle.
Damn.
That is amazing.
Like
It's incredible.
I couldn't imagine in summertime because of the metal bars and everything's being so freaking hot. Like, oh God, I just couldn't imagine.
Yeah, just pictured it being like 125 degrees Fahrenheit. He's got the converter.
I'm
Um,
doing it.
and there's no air conditioning, and it's all concrete and iron.
You said 125?
Yeah,
That's 51 Celsius. Same.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could. I wouldn't even be able to sit down or do anything. It'd just be too bloody hot. I'd burn
No, wait.
myself.
No, that's not even like my brain's not even processing. I'm from Canada.
Oh
No,
yeah.
it's like cold.
Your summer's like our winter.
Oh yeah, like when I came here, when I first landed, it was like I left Canada and it was 10 Celsius and dropping, so I had that like Arctic chill in the air, and then I landed here and it was like plus 20 and rising, and I was like, oh no, and it was my first summer that I ever experienced 38 degrees Celsius, and I just
It's
losing it.
shit. Our summers are
Oh,
shit.
Yeah, it's pretty awful when you can just sit there and then create a pool from your own sweat.
oh, it's disgusting.
But you know you're used to the heat when like it was what was it 97 out the other day, and I was just like sitting outside having a conversation on the phone, like, oh, it's so nice out.
That's 36 Celsius for people who are
Still,
listening.
still fucking hot.
That's
It was a
hot. That's
it was a
that's
nice
hot.
breeze, man. It was nice.
It sounds like nah, man.
I'm crazy. I
Sub-zero
know.
temperatures.
It's
I'm a
not the
cold
ghost
guy.
hunting that makes me crazy. It's the love of the heat.
Yeah, you'll do fine down here.
That's what
You'll
I'm saying.
definitely do
That's my
fine.
dream place to go. I love Australia. I want to go
Yeah.
so bad.
He just wants to go for the emus and the snakes.
Look, because I want to fight an emu, which I told
They
you,
will
there's an emu farm right by my house, like a mile away. So I don't need to go there for that anymore.
they will literally drop kick you.
I know.
And it's like that's their thing.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But no, I just want to play with the snakes and the lizards.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The lizards are awesome. I
And
got
then,
like 3 blue tongue in my backyard right now.
That's so cool.
and he also
Yeah,
wants
the
to
thing.
investigate down here.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
Except for I want to go to, what is it, Uluru?
Yeah,
but you can't go there. So like,
You can go there, but you can't climb the rock. There's a special permit that you have to get and permission.
yeah.
oh, I don't want to climb the
It,
rock. I don't care about that.
Okay, then
you
that's
can go. How close can you get now?
not,
I don't think you can get close at all anymore.
I'm not sure.
I think it's like you got to be like a fair distance away. Like nobody gets pictures up against it anymore.
No.
It's weird. It's a rock.
It's Aboriginal stuff.
Uh,
Very
Mhm.
complicated. It's
we have
because of
stuff like that here with the natives, just like
yeah,
you in Canada with the First Nations people.
yeah, yeah. It's because they used to let people go hiking the trails up through Uluru all the time, and until a lot of the cave paintings and the like just the art that the Aboriginals did that were like thousands of years old started getting spray paint on
Oh,
top of
that
them.
pisses me off so
So they're like,
much.
"Oh, we're done."
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
the main reason why.
I understand that part. Like graffiti makes me so mad. Unless it's like some dilapidated, like the Casa Grande domes has some had before it got torn down had some of the coolest graffiti everywhere.
Did you get like much evidence out there or
I did. I got a decent amount, but nothing like you see on TV. Like none of us got thrown, or there wasn't any demons. It was just like there was some spirits there, and they were just chilling.
So, what was the weirdest thing you got or experienced there?
So the weirdest was before we ever even investigated, because Kurt, who I investigate with, we've been friends for years, and we were out in the desert looking for freaking reptiles to mess around with, and we drove past the domes, and because it's like in the middle of the desert, and we saw this car pull up with like I don't know high school, college kids get out, and they're gonna go be brave and go in the domes at night, and so
Yep.
we're like, let's just watch them, see what happens, and they get out of their car and they start heading towards the domes, and this fucking shadow person, like I don't know, 8, 9 feet tall, stands up and is walking behind them.
The
And we're
fuck?
and we're just like, holy shit.
what the
So so I don't know, 2 minutes later you hear a bunch of screaming, and then they run out and jump in their car and drive away. And we are like, we have to go to that place.
We have to. You saw the big
Yeah.
thing. We have to
Yeah.
see that.
you need to
So
suss it out.
if you watch our video on YouTube, you hear me say, hey, that big shadow person we saw, can you stand in front of me? And then you hear me whisper, I really regret asking that. So
Oh man.
Oh Lord. What like have you had like a scary encounter?
I did a cleansing of a house that was scary, but so far on these investigations, other than like getting poked or pushed or whatever, like, and I don't even think that stuff's scary. But yeah, the cleansing I did at someone's house was actually pretty scary, and I had to pretend like I wasn't scared.
So,
So
what exactly was happening at this house? Can you talk about it?
Sure. So
Okay.
um, they got really into like black magic nonsense
mhm.
and fucking with it. And I don't know if I even believe in that stuff, but whatever they did, there was something there. So my buddy and I went over there, we're chilling on the couch, and we just see like this little ball of light, like this big, just fly in through the window and land in the corner of an office. And we're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then it turned into like a little shadow person in the corner.
Mhm.
And then
Hmm.
it that's why I want to go to the body shoot, because it started this weird creepy like crawling thing on all fours,
Right.
and I was like, what the hell is that? And my buddy was of zero help and sat on the couch just weeping.
Oh Jesus.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he was in town a couple weeks ago and we were laughing about it. He's like, you remember that like weird thing? I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. And
Gosh, Jesus. Oh.
so I had this whole spiel of how to like do a cleansing with different verses and all this stuff. And so I started doing that, and then it just like stood up, and it. I'll be honest, I wanted to shit myself. Like it was terrifying, and because it went from this like grudge, like the movie The Grudge type walking,
Like
broken
oh, like
limb,
creep.
black mass
Yeah.
thing, to like standing up like eye level with me. And I finished the cleansing shit, and it instantly like shrunk back down into a ball, and then just started banging things around the house, like cabinets, all types of shit. And it's the craziest story. And that's when I was like, I gotta start filming this stuff.
Like nobody's definitely gonna believe
Yeah,
this one.
Yeah.
whoever's seen this on YouTube, I completely understand that you think I'm completely full of shit.
I mean, like, it's when we did the J Ward one, we were starting to pack up, and I'm
Oh,
so mad because I'm like,
oh
I
my
wish we got it
God.
on camera. We started packing up, and uh, I don't know what we were doing. You were talking with your partner Amanda, and I was just doing my
Yeah,
normal thing.
we were just out there at the picnic table where like the guys would like smoke and eat and stuff like that out in the yard. And we've just been out there for like an hour, hour and a half, just filming, talking, doing every little session we can think of. And we're like, all right, let's just move to a new section. We're not getting any hits here. And Lawrence like turned everything off, put it in a little suitcase thingy that's open. And I turn off the camera, put the camera down, and all of a sudden shit starts turning on.
Yep. Always leave a camera running. I'll even
And
set my
I'm like,
phone up in a corner just recording, just in case.
what sucks is that I always complain, and I'm like, oh yeah, the camera just so happened to turn off
Yep.
when the weird thing happens, and I'm like, it
Mm-hmm.
fucking happened to us, and I hate
And now
myself
you
for
can't
it.
say it anymore.
I know. I'm like, God damn it.
Well,
And
we we frequent this ranch that nobody like knows about. It's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, campers and hunters know about it, but like paranormal wise, and it's like they know us there. I mean, they've asked for Rachel by name there, like through the spirit box. Um, that's on the video. It's just like, hey, where's Rachel? You're like, oh, and I was like, she's not here right now. She's at home. And we were off roading there a couple weeks ago, and Kurt and his son and I went in, and right when we got to the front door, this man's voice is like, "Hello," and you're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, and then we walk in, and the lady that is in that place is like, "Hi." All three of us, even like the little, his 8-year-old son, instant goosebumps. Like we all heard it, but no
That's
camera was
crazy.
running, so it's just another story that's like,
Oh, yep.
yeah, I
God
mean,
damn it.
like I've had my fair share of some experiences that I haven't got on camera. I think the worst one out of it was sitting on the edge of the bathtub, and this nasty entity pushed me back, and I cracked the back of my head open. Like, that was the worst encounter that I did have from the spirit that didn't like me going into his bathroom.
That was a J word, wasn't it?
Yeah, years
I
Yeah.
thought
ago.
I thought you were talking about like your own personal bathtub. Like, what the hell's a ghost doing? Like, just watching you take a bath?
I
It's how it
mean,
is.
there's ghosts everywhere, so we don't know. They could be just
That is
perving.
true. I mean, can you blame them? They're basically like, what was that Kevin Bacon movie, Invisible Man or Hollow Man?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like
Being
walking around
creepy.
just being creepy.
What else do they got to do?
Yeah. I mean, who knows how long they're there? They've got to be bored at some point.
Yeah, they got to be like, I got to figure out how to slam a cupboard because I'm so bored right now.
I feel
Like, I
like
got to make that lady freak out.
Well, like last night during the live investigation, um, one of the voices was like, "Did you pick it up?" And I was like, "No fucking way!" Like, so they were filming, and I went to the bathroom, and so I'm washing my hands, and they have paper towels to dry your hands on. So I go to throw it in the trash can, I missed, and it just laid on the floor. So
Mhm.
I walk out, and something was like, "You need to go pick that up," like in my head. So I turn around, I picked it up, put it in the trash can. And then through the spirit box, the lady says, when I get up there, "Did you pick it up?"
Oh my god.
Oh, oh, that's good.
She was watching
Uh,
you.
Yeah, I
yeah.
was like, "Did this lady just watch me take a shit?"
She didn't want you to leave a mess.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, clean up your shit, man. Like, literally.
Yeah,
Yeah. God
yeah,
damn. You don't
yeah,
live here.
yeah. This ain't your house. This is my jail.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Thank God I don't live there.
I mean, it wouldn't be very comfortable. Like, the
No,
beds don't look very comfortable.
I laid on them last night. They were not comfortable,
I didn't think so.
and they're covered in lead paint.
Oh,
Oh,
lovely.
yay. Well, that's the same with like most historical buildings. They're all like painted in lead paint. And even just try to get them like rebuilt and that, you have to use the same freaking materials that don't even freaking
Yeah.
exist anymore. It's like,
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Well, here they'll let you use new paint as long as it's the same color if you're doing a historical building.
they won't do it
Where
here.
here,
That
if
makes
you're
no sense.
restoring
Lead is
yeah,
so bad for you.
yeah, exactly. That's why a lot of places become decrepit and fall down, and they just bulldoze them down and get rid of them. Because to restore things here, you have to use the original make.
Yeah. It's the same with Arrowdale. They went through a whole thing. They shut down the place because of lead paint. We wanted to make
Hmm.
sure it was safe for people to go in and do tours, and then they reopened and said, no, it's safe, it's okay, all this kind of thing. But it's like we're in there for 6 hours. It's hot, it smells moldy, it's
Yeah.
humid, it's gross. Like it's humid and it's just stuffy because there's no air conditioning or heating or anything like that. So you can imagine just over the years of, rain and heat and cold and kind of all those kind of different bipolar weathers that we have.
Hmm.
Yeah, and there's a few paranormal investigators that over the years have been hospitalized for like lung issues and shit.
Yeah.
Just
Like
going in
it
these
makes sense.
dilapidated buildings.
Yeah,
I
it's like
mean,
lead paint, mold, asbestos.
Yeah.
Like,
All the things I ate as a kid.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
right. I
The
mean,
good old
like
90s.
it kind of comes with the job. So basically, it's what you
Yeah.
get is what you're given. I mean, you can do the whole thing and protect yourself, wear gloves, wear masks, but most of the time it's stuffy and it's hot and it's just so
And nobody
much.
can hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because like if you're gonna wear a mask that's good enough to keep the mold and the lead paint and the asbestos out, like you're gonna be so muffled that nobody's gonna understand you.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Unless you put like a lav mic or something inside the mask, but then it's gonna be so blown out because it's so close.
Oh,
Right.
it's getting bad. And also just like got that kind of money?
Not
Like,
me.
Not me.
So Nathan, what got you into this mess?
Me.
By
okay, so well, yeah. Well, what into this specifically? I was doing a live randomly, just talking shit like normal. And then like I've always been into kind of like urban exploring and that kind of stuff. So I was talking about doing like a live while doing that. And I was like, oh, maybe I could do like a paranormal investigation while doing a live. And then Lauren just so happened to jump into my live into the comment section as I'm talking about that. And she's like, I'm a paranormal investigator. I can show you some areas in like that you could go and check out. All right, cool. And then we started talking, and then we're like, oh, let's do a live together and talk about paranormal stuff. Because I'm actually really into cryptids, like Bigfoot, Ogopogo, skinwalkers, all that kind of stuff.
He loves his Bigfoot.
And I love Bigfoot. Bigfoot's awesome. He's cool as shit. And then so we just started talking about that. We did a couple lives and then talking about paranormal stuff. Had a fair bit of people jump in, and then we just decided to start doing that regularly. And then we're like, hey, we should just do this as a podcast too. And we're like, all right, let's do that. So now we do this like every week when we can, unless something like important happens, and we do the paranormal live every Saturday night.
I
That's
mean,
awesome.
we've been
Yeah,
doing the YouTube thing for a year now.
yeah,
So, I mean, we've come pretty far from what we did
yeah.
have.
So with the paranormal, I know Nathan's super skeptical like I am. Are you
Mhm.
just as skeptical with the cryptid stuff?
Yes. Like, it depends though, because like I've always been fascinated by cryptids, like being out in the woods in Canada and stuff like that, hear about stories and everything. The thing that really helps cement a cryptid to potentially be at maybe one point be a real creature at some time in reality is if the local indigenous people actually have stories about it that predate any Europeans.
Mm.
That makes sense. And if there's anything that comes after the Europeans showed up, it's like kind of like, no, I'm gonna lean heavily towards no. Like there was what the lizard man in where is it somewhere in Mississippi? Is it Mississippi? I don't know.
I want to
Where
say
it's
it's
like
Mississippi.
literally I want to say it's a southern state because I remember their accents were super thick. And yeah, it was just a story like before that time there was never this lizard man. And then there was just this guy, this African American dude, just like, yeah, I saw a lizard dude here just to scare some white people. And it's become a thing in that city. It's like now
Yeah.
a tourist attraction. Again, Loch Ness is another one that's been proven to be not real. I know a lot of people are like, will attack me on this. But yeah, Loch Ness again is another cryptid that has been proven not to be real. And the guy who took that first picture of the crypt of Loch Ness in the water, sticking its head up, admitted on like his deathbed that yeah, he's like, I did that in a puddle.
It was a toy boat, right? That he put
Yeah,
a
it was
dinosaur head on?
yeah, it was something simple like that. He's like, it wasn't even in lock in like the
Yeah.
the lock. It's just like he's like, yeah.
But
But
people will
people will
fight you
still
on it.
argue that they're like,
Yep.
nope. Oh yeah, big time.
I,
Like, so I've always been fascinated with cryptids. So that
I want more than anything for Bigfoot to be real.
I do and I don't. Love the idea of Bigfoot. And I know at one point, Gigantopithecus was an actual real creature that
Hmm.
lived in the North Americas alongside early humans. Like it was like roughly 10,000 years ago. And the Native Americans in North America are great storytellers and pass down the knowledge per generation. And again, stories turn into myths, myths turn into legends, and legends become stories and like fairy tales and stuff like that. It could be potentially that them talking about it, and obviously, like it's like you tell stories to kids to keep them out of the woods. Yeah,
That's
you
how I
tell
feel
stories to
about
kids to keep them out of the
skinwalkers.
woods.
You know,
Yeah, that's yeah,
it's like
exactly.
yuck.
don't be a
Eat
bad
human flesh.
person, or you're gonna end up wandering the earth as this
Yeah,
animal that turns into people, and vice versa.
yeah. So when it comes to Bigfoot, would love for it to be real, but at the same time, I don't want him to be real because they'll just capture him and put him in a zoo.
Like they did with the Tasmanian tigers.
Exactly.
Did you see
And
they
look,
think that the Tasmanian tigers might be in America?
what?
Huh?
Because the last shipment of them before the ones in Australia went extinct was on a boat that wrecked, or they got out or something in America, like they were coming to a zoo here.
I never heard that.
Forrest Galante was talking about it.
Gonna have to Google this.
I've never heard of that. That's something I've never heard of. But okay.
No, yeah,
I mean, like they're trying to bring them back, but that's not gonna happen.
it's no.
I think they're still out
Well,
there.
there's been
There's
some videos that
some
are
trail
very
camera stuff, and yeah,
yeah, right, like the body shape, because the Tasmanian tiger has such a unique shaped head for the size of the body. And when an animal or a dog gets mange, it doesn't change the shape of the skeletal structure. It just makes them look kind of hairless and shitty. So, but that long snout and narrow head, that's
and the
very
tail.
distinct. Oh yeah, the tail being like no fur and just like bone and skin. It's very distinct.
I believe it was Forrest Galante that was talking about. He thinks that the chupacabra thing that took off in the 90s in America
Yeah,
was actually people seeing the thylacines that escaped going to the zoo here,
that's interesting.
because it would have been on the East Coast, which is where the chupacabra stuff started.
Yeah.
Because like Puerto Rico, and like it's big in Puerto Rico, but also I believe it took off on the East Coast. Look, I'm talking out my ass right now. Okay, guys.
I mean, we all do that sometimes.
Yeah, change the name of the podcast from "We All See Things" to "We All Talk Out of Our Asses."
See, I'm not a cryptid person. I don't really get into that side of things. I mean, it's interesting, like when you like talk about it or read about it or watch something about it. I'm like, it's interesting, but I'm more of the paranormal side than anything. I haven't really delved too much into cryptids. As I think we're going to talk about Mothman at one stage,
Yeah, yeah,
and how I see Mothman is basically Jeepers Creepers.
You think it's a guy
yeah.
in a truck?
I mean, you never know.
I think a lot of the cryptids are either tourist attractions, like
Yeah.
they
Hmm.
lost either a road got rerouted somewhere and they lost that income, or the opposite, like the howler um, in the south was is actually just the way they were scaring people away from their stills making moonshine.
Oh
Right.
yeah. They made people believe that there's something actually in the woods when they're actually doing something illegal in the woods,
Yeah,
and then it ended up bringing more people to the woods.
and I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of shit from people that are like, "No, I've seen him."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I
Like the
mean,
lizard man, Loch Ness.
Yeah,
it's each to their own, really, to be honest.
I've seen a lot of weird shit that I don't expect people to believe that I've seen it. Like,
Well, I think that's what it comes to when like we do the paranormal stuff. We see things, but we don't catch it on camera. But when we talk about it, people are like, "Nah, that can't be right. That can't be real." I'm like, we're not gonna document everything. I'm like, sometimes things just happen and we miss out on it. I'm like, that's just how the job goes. It's like, it's not what you see on TV. It's not like we're gonna get the first 5 minutes into it, we're gonna get something. We could spend hours on end sitting in a place getting completely nothing.
That's how the live started
Yeah,
yesterday. There wasn't shit going on for like the
exactly.
first 2 hours.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah, we're not
that's
ghost adventurers.
Yeah. Well, that's what's funny. That was the first negative comment I got, and I took it as a compliment. Was, wow, your show's really boring compared to like Ghost Adventures. And I'm like, yeah, it's not scripted.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
right, exactly. As I think that's what like I understand like if we didn't have those sort of TV shows, as you were saying, we wouldn't have kind of us doing what we do.
Yeah, we wouldn't have the
Yeah,
audience that wants to watch it. It would just us being weirdos yelling at nothing in the dark.
yeah,
Right, that's
exactly.
it. Um, but it's like it's what kind of annoys me is like with those shows, people think, oh, we're gonna go do a ghost tour, we're gonna get the same reaction like they did. Well, you're not. We're like we could
No,
Yeah.
sit there
exactly.
for like hours on end and have cameras up and we could sit there for hours on end watching footage and you might get one thing out of the whole fucking segment.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like when we did Air Rat, or Airedale, we did it and absolutely nothing happened, like zero.
I
But
think
yet there was a ghost group that went through there, and it was the craziest shit.
right, that's it. I mean, like, I think also when you do group tours, I think that's what brings down a lot of the activity that happens. I feel like the spirits don't want so many people coming into their space.
I agree.
That's that's why they kind of like disappear and kind of like, well, oh, fuck this. I'm not doing that tonight. I'm sick of it. I'm sick
Yeah,
of
So what
it's
wouldn't
like
that
a bunch of
trigger them
strangers
though?
coming into your house. Like you would be like, what the hell?
right.
Or
Wouldn't
like
it
people coming and
trigger them more
yelling
though?
too. Why, the energy side maybe?
Well, like, wouldn't it trigger them more, like more people, more like people trespassing? Wouldn't it cause like more activity?
Probably depends on the personality.
It also depends on the place too, I guess.
Because like the jail we did last night, um, the activity usually kicks off around 9 p.m. and it almost completely stops at 1 a.m. And it's
Right.
funny because I heard
So,
Kalani Ghost Hunter say that those are like the times he notices too.
I mean, when we did J Ward, we like tried to get as much footage as we could, but as
yeah,
we were on a sleepover tour, that's the only time we could get in because we didn't have money to, pay out to do an
hire
actual.
the whole place at once.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the places.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I
some
know
of the
that.
places.
I'm just
But
saying that
it's so crazy.
that's why we just did the sleepover tour and we asked permission. We asked Jay Wood. We asked the paranormal investigators that were there who did the group tours. We asked for permission. They said that's fine as long as you don't get like other people in it unless they want to
Yeah,
be in it.
yeah.
And I just like we didn't get much. We got enough to say there is evidence there. I'm like we had a few cat balls go off. We had you
Like
know
when I was down in that kitchen by myself at like 3 a.m., I set up a couple cat balls and I just stood in the middle of the room and just kind of like kept looking back and forth to make sure I could tell, make sure people knew that I was completely alone. And I had a couple cat balls just trigger. And then I tried to make them trigger. I'm like, look at, I'm like, I put them on the table and I'm jumping on the floor, stomping my feet. They weren't triggering, but they
Yeah,
would trigger by themselves.
my favorite cat balls are the ones that are complete pieces of shit that you have to like punch them to get them to light up.
Yeah, that's
Because
what
then when
these
they
ones
light
are
up,
like.
you know that like something did that.
yeah.
You
Um
really got to shake it or you got to like hit it against
Yeah.
your hand.
mhm.
Yep. Those are
It
my favorite ones.
it was hard to get more like footage because there was people sleeping out in the like where the cells were and there was people up where the
Yeah, that
gallows
annoyed me.
were and that's what kind of makes it hard for us to do any kind of investigations because we have to do it on a group tour because we don't have money to throw out and say, hey, can we hire this place for this many hours? We don't, we got to go with what we get.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody's watching this right now, make sure you subscribe and share it so that way they can get more money to go on investigations.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. It's
We're trying to get there, people.
It's so expensive. There's places in the States that are $10,000 a night to investigate.
holy crap. That is really expensive.
That's
It's,
ridiculous.
yeah. The lady that runs the jail in Globe, the train depot, and the train museum, like she loves those places. Like, I mean, she did a tour for us yesterday, like for the live to give the rundown of the place. Didn't charge anything for it, didn't anything. Just like gave up
Well,
an hour of her day just to talk about the place.
See, that's amazing. That's awesome.
I
Love
was
that.
I was there for that tour. I was watching it. It was very I like how she was very informational about everything, like, explaining how things happen, what was going on. I like the stories. Like, I just liked her in general. She was a really cool person.
She's super nice. And I don't know if it's her husband or who it is, but the guy that runs it with her, he used to be a public defender for the town when that jail was open.
Oh wow,
So
there's history there.
yeah, he spent tons of time there. And it's funny, he's like, yeah, I don't believe in the paranormal. And it was just me and him in the bottom floor, and everybody else was up on the third floor. And we heard whistling, like somebody just like whistling a song. And so we yelled up, like, you guys whistling? And they couldn't hear us. Then they came down, like, did you guys whistle? Like, no, we weren't whistling. And I'm like, well, you still a skeptic?
Huh?
He's like, it had to be something. I'm like, yeah, freaking ghost.
Had to be something. It's like, yeah.
He's super nice. But yeah, I love that place. And the train depot, we didn't really get a lot. I mean, Lauren, you saw some of the static camera review, but all we got mainly was like doors slamming, which the claim was that doors open and close on their own in there. And that hallway's so skinny, I couldn't get like an angle to see the doors, but man, a lot of doors open and closed.
I remember when you were reviewing some of it, there was like you said, like a whistle or something, but it sounded like someone was screaming, like a woman screaming.
Multiple people have messaged me and like, no, that's somebody screaming. And somebody even messaged me and said, no, that's well, what's interesting is there was a lady that was watching the live and she's like, no, that's the sound of Kip screaming when he had his heart attack. He was covering his mouth. And I was like, did she Google the guy that died? Like recently there? And I looked up his name and the town and all that. There's no information on how he died, where he died.
Oh shit.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh. And she kept apologizing, like, don't think I'm crazy. I'm like, I don't think you're crazy. Like, how the hell do you know this?
Maybe you should
Yeah,
talk
that's
to her.
weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, and I need to talk to Molly who runs the jail, because because she talked about like a specific pattern on the couch where the guy died, and I'm
That's
really
crazy.
curious. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's super interesting. And I can play the EVPs for Molly because she knew the guy. So be like, is this his voice?
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I did, like, this was ages ago, back when I did an investigation at Aradale. I was using the mini portal, and I was in the matron's room, and I wasn't really getting much, and I was just sitting there just talking, and I'm like, do you like me in this room? Are you here? I'm like, give me a sign, all that kind of thing. And then she goes, asshole. I'm like, thanks.
All right.
Yeah, we got called all types of names last night in Spanish. Thankfully, one of our viewers was could speak Spanish and was translating.
That's awesome.
But Lauren, what got you into this? What was your first big experience?
Into like the paranormal.
Yeah,
I mean,
hanging out with two dudes from North America in an
Yeah.
online chat.
It started when I was pretty young. Like, my mom died when I was 10. When she passed away, I had an out-of-body experience. It's kind of where it kicked off. I did have some experiences when I was little, like I've explained before when we first started chatting. Like the man in the closet that would come out and try and, I don't know, scare the living lights out of me when I was 5 and that kind of thing. But what really kicked it off was having that out-of-body experience when my mum passed away straight after her funeral. Like, I remember I actually still have the cross off her coffin. It's actually in my living room.
Oh, that's cool.
So the priest gave me that, and I think I had it under my pillow or something. Just being a 10-year-old me.
Isn't that weird what we hold on to when we lose somebody? We're like, I'll hold on to anything. Like,
yeah. So yeah, I just had an out-of-body experience that kind of kicked it off, and then I think I started getting more into like ghost tours. Like, I started doing ghost tours first because I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I've had experience before in the past, or that kind of thing. I'm like, but I want to see what paranormal investigators do. And my first investigation was actually at Aradale.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so I'm freaking flying. You can tell they already know me there.
Yeah.
So I've been there for years. And keep going back because I like the history and the. So there was a paranormal group. I said to him like, "How do you get into these things? Like, what equipment do you use? Basically, kind of, oh, she's too young to know anything. Shove her off, kind of thing." But I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, so I kind of like started getting my own equipment. My first piece of equipment I actually still have is my K2, and I've had that since 2017. So that was my first piece of equipment.
Nice.
So I was
You know what's
living.
funny? I had a spirit box before I even had a K2.
Nice.
The guys from well, I guess they're called Paranormal Nightmare now, but Living Dead Paranormal sent me one like years and years and years ago.
Right,
And
yeah.
it's still the same one I use, except for now I have an S box. I
I
like it so much more than the SB7.
so I basically from there, like I moved into a house that was like not like from the back of the hospital. So I lived from the back of a hospital that was near the morgue. So you can imagine what was happening in that fucking house. And this is at the time when I had my oldest child. He was like a baby still, so
You
um
lived at the back of a hospital?
yeah, I lived at the back of the hospital in like this little 2-bedroom house.
Okay.
Okay.
It was cheap, get what you
Oh,
get.
yeah, I bet it was.
So I grabbed it, that was my first home that I ever rented. And yeah, things kind of started happening. I didn't sleep in my bedroom at all because I would get grabbed from like my bed. I'd get pulled out of bed. I'd get touched or I'd get my hair pulled or something like that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go sleep out in the lounge room because that's where I felt safe. I had all the lights on because I'm like, I'm not fucking sleeping with no lights on. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a little experiment. My son had a little toy piano that was really hard to press down to make noise. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this as a trigger object. I'm gonna see if they would do anything with it. I'm like, okay, so if you were here, give me a sign and use this little piano. And it's so hard to press down to make any noise. It pressed down. I actually had that video still. And I'm like, okay, good to know. Whatever.
That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out to my second investigation and I came home and I had all the lights on because me being me, I want to see when I come home. When I got rocked up at home, opened up the door, all the lights were off. And I specifically know that were all on, but they were all off. I'm like, okay, this is fucking weird. I went out to the fuse box to make sure that it wasn't the fuse or anything like that. It wasn't a fuse. Turned all the lights on. As soon as I turned on the living room light, there was 4 shadow people standing in the fucking kitchen staring at me. I piss bolted out the front door because this is my first time experiencing anything, and I'm like, what the fuck? So that's when I bring in the priest. We did a house exorcism. And that's kind of where the exorcism kind of started for me for going into those sort of things. So
Nice.
it's like a whole another story, but yeah, it's kind of like
Dude, the first time you see a shadow person is the scariest fucking thing.
yeah. And I saw 4 of them. How do you think I felt
Yeah.
in my kitchen around my dining table?
I mean, and then after a while, you're just like, oh, there's a shadow person. Like,
I haven't even
we,
seen one.
we saw 3 of them last night. It was like, I ended up moving the static camera to where we saw one. Kurt and Rachel were in front of me. We had um, the phone up at the very top for the live, with the spirit box running and having um, Crossroads Paranormal ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
like in a small box on TikTok Live. And so
That's cool.
we wanted to see if we could see anything. We walked and all got goosebumps in this one spot in the jail, which was below where they're at. And this like hand came out like that, and like it made my nipplies hard.
Okay.
I got super excited.
Oh
But
damn!
That's
and then
awesome. Jesus.
when we were sitting down in the church area, I saw 2 different shadows. But last time I caught a shadow on the live, so like everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you see that shadow?" And I'm like, "Okay, I thought it was just my imagination."
But it's cool, like, because TikTok lives they record the live, so you have
Yep.
that footage.
I
That's
need to
pretty
go back
awesome.
through it. It's just that it's 9 hours long, and
Yeah,
I don't want to download it all. So I'm just gonna go through it and then screen record and make like a episode out of the
yeah,
clips.
that's smart. 9 hours of footage. No,
Well,
I
like
mean,
our second video on YouTube, I think it's like half-hour long, and it's just static camera from the empty ranch.
mhm.
That was
Mhm.
80 hours of footage.
Jesus.
Because people are
Ooh.
like, "There's no way you captured that much stuff at the ranch," and I'm like, "Dude, that's 80 hours of
Yeah,
multiple
exactly.
cameras."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I need to get better at going through evidence. That's why I've been making it a thing of doing it on TikTok Live, so it kind of makes me do it,
yeah.
and other people catch shit that I don't notice.
No, that's
Mhm.
really good. That's actually really
Before
smart. Shuts down. All right,
Um,
so we'll end this now. Thank you very much again,
Yes,
and
thank
I
you.
can't wait to do this again with you.
It was
Yeah.
a blast. It was worth staying up till 6:20 in the morning.
Well,
Jesus.
I'm so glad that you wanted to do this with us, and I'm happy that you did. Like, this has been a really cool experience, and you're like our first person that we kind
Yeah.
of we interviewed, so it's great.
Well, congratulations, guys. You picked the
Like a
smallest YouTube channel possible
It's
to
cool,
have on
man.
your show.
Oh no,
Um,
it's fine. Little ones got to stick together.
that's right. We all have to stick
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So we'll put all your links and everything down in our description, so everyone can go check you out and
Yeah.
follow
Oh,
you.
Thank you.
send us your link tree as well. We'll put it in there as well.
Sweet, thank you. Yeah, it's Atrox Paranormal on everything.
There,
So
done, everybody.
Yeah.
cool. Atrox
Paranormal.
Paranormal. Thank you,
All
guys.
right.
Have a great rest of your night.
You too, man.
You too.
Bye.
Have a good sleep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.